Working on a 2012 Toyota Prius. It's got a check engine light. So I got my OBD2 scan tool from Amazon, and I got my cell phone, and I downloaded a free app called Torque Light, and that should be all I need to figure out what's going on with this car. I'm gonna find the Torque app and open it up, and I've plugged this unit into the OBD2 port on the car, and now it says it's checking the protocol and connecting, and it connected to the ECU. So I will go to a menu to fault codes, show logged faults, and it's telling me to wait for a second, and it gives me a code P261b, Paul 261 Baker. Let's go search that code and see what it says. Alright, it's been determined that what we need is this water pump to fix our P261b code in the Prius. And the water pump is located right down here on the front side of the engine. You can see that the cover that we want to remove is right here, and that'll let us get to the pump, which is behind there. Pull them out. Got those three out. That allows me to pull this forward, and I can see that bottom bolt on the water pump is right there. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is take that out. That's a 12 millimeter. We've got that bolt out of the bottom of the water pump. The next step is to lower this air box. It's 10 millimeter. There's a little hose that runs on top of there. You want to pull that off. And then your air box should lift out of here. You should get everything disconnected. There she goes. Alright. There we go. So that comes out as one piece. Now we've got good access to the water pump, which is right down here. Alright, so first thing I'll do is unplug this connector from the back of it, and then we'll take out the bolts around the edge. Those are also 12 millimeter. They're all the same except for the two on this side, this one and the one under it. Those are going to be two longer bolts because they go further in to the car here. You have seen me struggling with this bolt. You can see the difference. This is the normal ones. These are the two that are in that side go through the engine, so you can see the difference in length. And I was having some trouble getting it out, so what you may have seen is that I use these gear wrenches. They make it easy to turn and reach the bolt, but I was having some trouble getting enough torque on it where I was at, so I just took another simple wrench and I hook them together, and that gives me more torque, more leverage out the end of here. So if you ever have a bolt that's on too tight, hook it together like that, and you should be able to get more leverage on it. And then once it gets loose, get it off. I'm catching the coolant that fell out. I'm not draining the whole system on this job. So what comes out of the water pump, I'm gonna let run into the pan, and then I'm just gonna replace whatever amount is missing. All right, so here's our water pump. Oh God, and it doesn't spin. So it's definitely this is our new water pump. This is the old water pump. I can very easily turn this, and it's no problem at all. See, it's like a little magnetic thing in there. This one, very hard to turn. So this is definitely bad. That should spin a lot more freely than it is. All right, we're getting ready to put our new pump in. We've made sure that the sealing surface on the engine is free of any debris. We've wiped it all clean with a rag. And then we're just going to stick this back in and put the bolts back in. Now remember, the two longer bolts go in these holes right here, which attach it through the engine. These just attach it to the housing for the thermostat. So those two longer bolts have to go in here. When you're putting bolts back in, don't tighten them down until you get all 5 bolts in there. That's good practice on everything. So always start all your bolts before you tighten any of them down. So I've found that it's actually, I can get the 2 of these bolts down here, the long bottom one and this very bottom one. And so I'm gonna go ahead and get to the, get to them while I'm under here. Don't forget to plug this thing back in. Alright, next step is to put some more coolant in it. We're pouring this Beck Arnley extended life pink in. This is what you want to use on your Lexus or Toyota or Scion car. I get the pre-diluted 50-50 mix. And what we start doing is just fill up the reservoir, and it'll run down some on its own, so you want to kind of fill it up until it stops gravity feeding in there. And then we'll reconnect the battery, and we're going to put the car into what they call maintenance mode, which is where the engine's going to sit there and run constantly until we turn the car off. That way it doesn't cycle on and off. Alright, so we'll fill this up. While this is draining down, we're going to connect the battery back up, and then we'll go into the maintenance mode. But that's how you do the job. That's pretty much it. Car, we have no leaks. It means we can put our clips back in. So we take off a little O-ring and the washer, which is like a D-shaped washer. When you put it back on, you have to get that slot lined up. And then we can pull this little impeller out of here. Ooh, I think it's kind of stuck. It's very hard to turn. Let's get it out of there. It's magnetic, you know, so stick to the table and see what we can see here. Oh, there's a problem right there. Look how it's deformed. It's split the plastic coating. So that's probably causing it to bind up inside of there and not run good. I can feel that it doesn't feel right there either. So that's probably what's bad. It definitely is causing a problem. Interesting. And it's very hard to turn. So I'm gonna say that indeed this part was bad.